This is CBC Here and Now.
Tonight on Here and Now, we're live on the water. Some beautiful scenes behind us. We're here actually in the Narrows in St. John's. May get to some cod fishing, maybe just checking out the scenes. Either way, it's going to be a great show right here on the water.
Well, let's get to our top story on Here and Now tonight. Two Innu men are sharing separate but painfully similar stories of teenage boys who died of exposure shortly after returning home from foster care.
Yes, Kirby Mistinapio and James Poker were both 17 when they froze to death outside Natwashish. Now their families want the circumstances surrounding their deaths to be heard at an upcoming foster care inquiry. They spoke with Labrador Morning.
Sometimes I blame myself because I'm the parent. Sometimes, what if the CYFS or the social worker came to me and sit down with me and all of my kids and assist us and support us trying to reunite for all of us instead of taking my kids away from the community. And they should educate us.
I don't know if I'm going to get the answers in there or not. But I support the inquiry. I think a lot of people should testify in the inquiry like this because there are a lot of suicide in the community in Natwashish.
Well, to the courts now in St. John's, where the Crown and defense are recommending 7.5-year sentences for two men who've pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Calvin Kenny and Chesley Lucas admitted to killing Stephen Miller in CBS last July. Here Now's Glenn Payette reports.
23-year-old Chesley Lucas and 26-year-old Calvin Kenny have confessed to doing a horrible thing, killing a man. Originally charged with murder, earlier this month they pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter. The victim, 25-year-old Stephen Miller, was abducted from his home in Seal Cove last July. The house was set on fire. Miller would die in a driveway in Killigrews. He had been stabbed. Lucas and Kenny also pleaded guilty to arson, robbing Miller, and forcibly confining him. Today, the Crown and defense recommended the men get 7.5 years. Judge Colin Flynn didn't give his decision today. The matter is back in court in September. Given rulings on joint submissions by the Court of Appeal of this province and the Supreme Court of Canada, it's highly unlikely that Judge Flynn would reject the sentencing recommendation. Another man, 20-year-old Kyle Morgan, has pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact to the manslaughter. He'll be sentenced next week. And yet another man, Paul Connolly, has a preliminary hearing next month. He is still charged with Miller's murder. Because Connolly's case could still go to a jury trial, there's a ban on the facts used in court to convict the other three men. Glenn Payette, CBC News, St. John's.
Memorial University's engineering building in St. John's was evacuated this afternoon and it remains closed tonight. The explosives disposal unit, police and fire crews were called into the campus after a lab experiment went wrong. A device being used in the experiment malfunctioned, creating a potentially dangerous situation that triggered the evacuation of the building. The RNC tweeted that the situation is now under control and there are no reported injuries, but all classes and tutorials have been canceled and the building will remain closed until further notice.
Well, the PC Party is seeing a jump in its level of support in this province, according to the latest poll by MQO Research. The PCs have the support of 48% of decided voters, up 9% from May. The gains largely came at the expense of the NDP, which is down to 16%. The Liberals held steady at 35%. 1/3 of voters said they don't know who they would vote for.
Well, people in Mud Lake are weighing in on the cause of a flood that forced 100 people from their homes. The community scrambled to evacuate back in May when the banks of the Churchill River flooded. The province has ordered an independent review on what caused the flood, and consultants spoke to residents yesterday about their concerns. Here Now's Jacob Barker has more.
Just days after Mud Lake residents were evacuated from their community in May, Premier Dwight Ball made this promise.
We want to find out what happened there. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to get their questions answered. They deserve this.
Longtime residents said they'd never seen anything like it before. Never this high before.
Never this high before, no.
People casting suspicion at the Muskrat Falls project.
Will they be paying for these things, you know?
The force of that ice out there was just horrendous.
Last night and today, those concerns are being put to the independent researchers the provincial government has appointed to assess what happened. Residents are embracing the opportunity to speak their mind with a healthy dose of skepticism.
You know, it's not good to, say we're going to do the assessment and say, okay, but then later, go along with Elko or something like that, that, next year we're end up getting flooded out again, and then it's probably people losing their lives and everything.
Government of Newfoundland and Labrador are facilitating this meeting and our review, but they have no influence on our assessment.
The purpose of these meetings are explicitly to get local knowledge to go together with the other data collected about the river.
Before you start a puzzle, you make sure all the pieces are right side up, that's what we're doing right now, and then we're going to go back and we're going to put those puzzle pieces together to get the whole picture.
The assessment will cost around $95,000, the team spending just a short time here on the ground.
We hope that they don't rush it, and we hope that they don't give us half a job.
It doesn't seem like enough money to me to do a thorough assessment, but hopefully it will.
There is anxiety in the group, wondering if floods like this could happen again. For now, though, they're going along with the process.
It was only an hour meeting, but, I think that they heard what we had to say, and I think that they're legitimate.
But this is when everybody is concerned for what's going to happen next spring, so hopefully they'll come up with some remediation that'll happen before then.
The report is expected to be done by the end of September. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Mud Lake.
Well, Newfoundland and Labrador has a reading problem. In the province's latest report on education, literacy was identified as one of 9 major issues. But the solutions don't fall directly on the education system. Here Now's Ryan Cook explains.
It's a quiet midsummer day at the Mount Pearl Public Library. It's 10:30 a.m., story time. But in the library today, just one child. Today's turnout can't just be blamed on nice weather. The library has been struggling to reach a particular group of kids.
We don't see as many school-age children as we would see preschool children sometimes in our branches.
And that's a problem. According to the Premier's Task Force on Education, 38% of children start 3rd grade with below-average reading skills. And after grade 3, there are very few programs available in schools to correct reading issues. And that's where public libraries can step up, but they struggle to reach parents who are not readers.
What we'd like to do with the libraries is be able to reach people in the public who aren't necessarily readers themselves, but understand the importance of reading to your child.
Rebecca McNeil wasn't shocked by the province's reading issue. The former teacher saw this issue in her own classrooms, but she says the schools shouldn't carry the blame alone because, after all, literacy starts at home.
We read to him every single day. He's always got access to books. It's one of the things that I would say he has too many of, if that's possible. Even just looking at magazines and just any type of print is encouraging early literacy for him.
So what can you do to help your child? Well, for starters, you could pick up a book.
Part of it is being a reader yourself, so modeling that behavior to your children. Go to the library together as a family, because if children see reading as something you take pleasure in, they're going to see it as something fun that's not work and something that they want to do as well.
The education report recommends catching kids with reading problems earlier and putting reading specialists in schools. Government won't start acting on these recommendations until next year. In the meantime, Bonnie Morgan says kids can always find help at the library. Ryan Cook, CBC News, Mount Pearl.
Business giant Harry Steele is no longer pushing to prevent a highway turnoff at a notorious Gander intersection. The project will add a new turning lane from the Trans-Canada Highway into Gander. It's meant to improve safety at the dangerous intersection, one that's had multiple accidents, including the death of an 8-year-old boy almost a decade ago. The province has agreed to build a median into the new lane. That means traffic headlights won't point directly at Steele's home. Steele's son says the one thing that everyone can agree on, a turning lane will make for a safer road. Well, the stage is set as the most iconic street in St. John's, at least some might call it that, welcomes thousands of people for tonight's 33rd annual George Street Festival. It's the start of 7 nights of music on the outdoor stage in the Prince Edward Plaza. The Sam Roberts Band and Matt Mays are headlining the opening night. Other acts scheduled to take the stage over the next week include Blue Rodeo, Hey Rosetta, and The Fortunate Ones. We also have Shanny Ganuk and the Navigators playing. Well, coming up in about 35 minutes from now, Carolyn will speak with one of the organizers of the festival to find out why it's still a success after more than 3 decades. Well, Chase the Ace Mania will continue in the Goulds. Last night's draw went ahead, but contestant Courtney Noseworthy drew the 6 of clubs, missing the chance to go home with that grand prize of $1.1 million. Instead, she received a consolation prize that was still pretty hefty, $172,000. Only 11 cards remain in the deck at the St. Kevin's Parish fundraiser, which has attracted thousands of people. The draw is on hold next week because of the St. John's Regatta. The grand prize total in 2 weeks is expected to be well over $1 million.
Hi everybody, I'm Fred Penner and I am just off on an unbelievable expedition called C3, which traveled up from Newfoundland, up St. John's to Nain, and I will be telling you more about that on Here and Now shortly.
Welcome back to Here and now to a story about a swimmer who has determination, and that's what it takes in order to swim across the Tickle. Have a look.
This is where everybody gathers, certainly the kayakers. There's a kayak lead who basically takes, of course, the lead here with all the kayakers who are the support. Right. And then, of course, the swimmers lead from here as well. This is the 5th annual Tickle Swim for Mental Health. Of course, this was a bucket list item, a pitch to CMHA NL to see if we could, raise some awareness. And now it's 5 years. I can't believe it. People are drawn towards more physical challenges when they do fundraisers these days, and this was, I think, one that really captivated, obviously the swimming community. But again, it's not about just those uber swimmers and the people who are triathletes. It also invites people who have just learned how to swim to come on board.
When I first heard that Sheila was taking on this feat 5 years ago, I thought that she was awfully brave and quite a challenge to undertake. And ever since then, every year that this swim comes around, I think, gosh, I should be out there doing this because it is for such a great reason. So I usually in the summer, I'm definitely outside in ponds. This is going to be something new here, swimming open water ocean in the North Atlantic. I have swum in warmer climates in the ocean, but not here in Newfoundland. Well, it's funny, I just told my parents this morning, and they were actually really proud that I was going to do something for such a cause. And they believe that mental health is very important to raise awareness and to raise funds for, because, everyone, mental health passes through every socioeconomic class, and everybody is impacted by it. And if you're not human.
Well, they're known for their tasty food, but they also have an interesting backstory. We'll tell you about the ambitions behind the people behind Muhammad Ali's coming up.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, many know him as the falafel guy in downtown St. John's, but when Ali Alhega came to the city about a decade ago from a refugee camp, he knew no one and didn't speak any English. Now, with the help of his brother-in-law, he's opening a second Muhammad Ali's restaurant. The CBC's Ariana Kellen spoke to both men at their new location on Water Street.
Hi, my name is Ali Al-Daoud.
My name is Ali Alhega. And we own Muhammad Ali's. I'm born in Iraq, but we originally from Palestine. After Saddam Hussein government and the regime is like gone, I moved away. I left in camp for 4 years between Iraq and Jordan. And then after 4 years, Canadian embassy come choose me as like a lot of people, and then they brought me here to St. John's. St. John's is like, you know, open mind, people really friendly, and everybody support everybody. This is what I love. We were walking here in Water Street and we saw this location, and I told him, okay, well, you opened the second Muhammad Ali's here. He said, yeah, it's true. And then the second location, this is my dream to be like Muhammad Ali's empire. So we'll do it. So the second location is open, and we looking forward to open like more, probably more, and make it like, you know, French fries it, like, you know, McDonald's or Tim Hortons, what will be under Muhammad Ali's. I feel I need to do something for my community first, and then I need to do something good for my family in the future. So I work hard, and then I push people to work hard and support the community, support the family. This is the life.
The weather update is brought to you by Belltone Hearing Service St. John's, helping the world hear better.
And welcome back to Here Now, everyone. We are out here in beautiful Kitty Vitty in the Gut. Boy, we've had an interesting half an hour or so. We went out, we tried to tour around and find a spot where we could do a bit of cod fishing, where we could actually come live with our technology, but unfortunately the cell phone signals aren't so strong once you get out past the Gut. So back here into the Gut where, hey, not complaining on a beautiful evening here, and gonna give you a little bit of a weather forecast as we take a look at your highs today. It was a dandy right across the island. Temperatures topped out around 29 degrees in Terra Nova. That appeared to be the hot spot. 25 in St. John's. As we take a look at current temperatures, it is still beautiful here in the Gut, definitely into the mid-20s right now, and temperatures at the airport near 23, 26 in Gander, 23 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 17 in Lab City. Look at the winds. They've been a little bit on the breezy side today, no question about that. Sustained near 30 in St. John's and along the Avalon Peninsula, also a little on the strong side through the Port-au-Port and along that west coast. Now, satellite radar picture shows the story that we've been seeing some of that high cloud cover building in through the day today from west to east. Nothing really in the way of showers for the island, a couple of spits there over the northern peninsula. Most of the shower activity has been for Labrador City. So the good news is, if you're headed down to George Street Fest tonight, what a lineup. Matt Mays and also Sam Roberts Band playing, and the forecast looks fantastic. Really just a sweater weather right through midnight tonight, so enjoy that if you're heading out. Now, as we take a look at your forecast and your future tracker timeline, note that the clouds will continue to thicken up here across the Avalon for tonight, but I do think we are going to be seeing the shower activity stay west of the island. Good chance of showers over Labrador, especially in the west, and there are your morning temperatures anywhere from 9 to 13 degrees across most of the province for tomorrow. And as we look ahead to your future tracker for tomorrow, note the shower activity that'll be edging in to western parts of Newfoundland and across Labrador, and then we are looking at some showers that are going to be starting to at least flirt with the Burin Peninsula by the end of the day tomorrow. I think St. John stays dry until tomorrow evening, as does central parts of Newfoundland. There's a slight risk into the afternoon for places like Gander and Grand Falls, Windsor, but again, the bulk of the activity tomorrow over western parts of Newfoundland and the northern peninsula, and up into Labrador. You can see it's a pretty cloudy, showery day for everybody, but the southwest flow, the southerly flow will keep temperatures in the high teens and 20s in the east, just 12 degrees in Lab City and 10 degrees in Nain. We're going to come back down here to Kitty Vitty Gut a little bit later, and we are going to be talking a little bit about cod fishing, at least in terms of what it's doing in terms of the tourists and bringing those tourists in, and of course the local angle, and why locals still like to go out and take part in the recreational food fishery. So we'll be back here to Kitty Vitty in just a little bit later on.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan. And certainly another thing that's weather dependent, as Ryan was talking about there, the George Street Festival. It gets underway tonight. Bands like Blue Rodeo, Hey Rosetta, and Shanneyganock will entertain thousands of festival goers over the next 7 days. While this afternoon, Carolyn spoke with organizer Joella Lomond about the event.
Joella, another year, another George Street Festival. How many George Street Festivals are we at now?
This is actually our 33rd annual, so we're very excited to get it started this evening.
And tell us a bit about what's going to be happening over the next 7 days.
We have 7 nights of fantastic entertainment. As usual, tomorrow night we have our classic rock night. Saturday night is going to be our kitchen party night, which is always a great time. And then Sunday we have our tribute night.
And tonight, everything kicks off. So what's happening here tonight?
Tonight, our headliner is going to be the Sam Roberts Band. They're going to start at approximately 9:30, but we do have entertainment leading up into the evening.
So how big is the George Street Festival? It's an iconic festival in this province. How many people will be coming through here?
It's actually very iconic. We get people coming from far away. We get our locals. So it's a very big event. So usually we expect thousands every night. And of course, with the great weather that we've been having, we're going to see many more, we're hoping.
Yeah. And what is it about the George Street Festival, do you think, that attracts so many people?
I think it's great that it brings many different people together, all of course for the love of music, to be on the street, to enjoy the great weather, and to see the entertainment.
And what about the business side of this? Because this is a big money maker for the bar owners on George Street and for much of downtown.
Absolutely. What we've been finding is that people really make a night of it. So they'll come down, they'll have dinner on the street, they'll maybe just come out and just take a look at the bands. And of course, on Saturday and Sunday, we have our all ages shows. And that's free to anybody that would like to come, but it gets people downtown again, visiting the downtown core, bringing some business downtown that we may not see.
And tourism too. It's not only bringing people downtown, but it's bringing people to the province.
Absolutely. Yep, we definitely see lots of tours. We get requests from tour groups wanting to come purchase tickets for their groups, to come onto the street, to get on into the festival. So it's definitely bringing both tourists and locals alike down. So it really helps revive, bring back the economy, get people out, spend some money, but yet get some good entertainment as well.
And you have a lovely night for it seems?
Absolutely. We're glad to see the sun. We're glad to see the warm temperatures. So we're hoping that it's going to bring everybody out. So why don't you come on down to George Street, join us for the evening.
Thanks, Joella.
You're welcome.
Well, it's time now to introduce you to our young athlete of the day. This is Claire Jenkins from Corner Brook. Claire is 9 years old and has found her passion.
Yes, Claire swims 3 times a week and loves synchronized swimming. Here she is pictured after her first show. Way to go, Claire. You are today's young athlete of the day.
Welcome back to Here and Now. It's an epic 24,000-kilometer, 150-day journey. An old Coast Guard icebreaker is making a trek from Toronto up through the Arctic and will eventually reach BC. It's called Canada C3. Right now, it's in the Torngat Mountains, but for the last couple of weeks, they've been visiting Newfoundland and Labrador. One person who was on board the icebreaker is singer Fred Penner, and if you were a kid growing up in the 80s or 90s like me, you'll probably recognize him from his children's TV show. Welcome to Here and Now.
Thank you so much.
So take me through, what did you do during this trip through Newfoundland and Labrador?
Oh my goodness. Well, we started in St. John's. We ended in Nain on the 22nd of July. And we stopped in probably about 7 or 8 different communities along the way. including well, we drove up to Cape Spear, of course, and then into Red Bay and Lanso Meadows, and every little spot along the way. And our process was really strong. It was all about diversity, community support, just really paying attention to the community and interacting with the community, and talking a little bit about residential schools and getting a feeling for what the Indigenous peoples along the way have gone through and what their lives are like now. So it was really Canadians connecting with Canadians was the bottom line. So it was really getting to know each community and the local folk who are there, and just trying to get a feel of exactly what that was. Very, very powerful.
Is there a moment that really stands out for you that you're going to really take away from this experience?
Oh my goodness, there was an unexpected thing happened in Rigolette, where a young man, his name was Edmund, and he approached me. We had a visit at the lunch at the community center, and then later there was an event on the shore, which was an annual contest where they make cardboard and gaff tape boats, and and there's a race that happens out into the water for 100 yards or so. It was absolutely an amazing experience to see that. But this young man approached me, gave me a carved bear that he had made, and he was part of that generation, the Fredheads from the 80s and 90s, as you were saying, and he just had such an affection for me because he felt that I was a very important part of his life. And his life had taken a turn, the family's life, where his sister, his last name was Sinclair, and his sister had been murdered in Halifax 3 years ago. And that murder actually was one of the key points to pushing into the inquiry about Indigenous women being killed. So he had an amazing story to tell me, and he felt that I was a positive influence in his life, and he wanted to share that with me in that respect. So that was certainly one of the highest points, or the most intense points of my C3 experience.
Before we let you go, I do have to ask, how many times did people ask you to play The Cat Came Back?
I've lost track. The amazing thing was that CBC Television was one of those was the only network that would make it through to these small communities. So I get off the boat and go into Red Bay, for instance, and the people are saying, Fred Penner, I can't believe you're here, that kind of thing. It was very much television notoriety preceded my arrival there, and so we did performances at every stop called Ship to Shore, where different people on board would share a feeling and experience, and I would wrap it up with a few songs, and The Cat Came Back was always there.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your experience with me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And welcome back here to beautiful Kitty Vitty, and we're now tied to the wharf and just enjoying the sights and sounds here on a lovely Thursday evening. Went out for a little tour, came back in. Unfortunately, couldn't do any cod jigging where we couldn't get a cell phone signal out there, and cell phone signal is how we come to you live. So we changed things up a little bit and thought we'd just come back and kick back and take it easy because, hey, it's Thursday evening and George Street Fest is starting up and everybody's in the summer mode, so why not? We're going to talk to Danny McGuinness here in a minute, but first we want to show you your weather forecast and how things are playing out over the next couple of days. Let's start with the satellite and radar, which shows the picture. You can see some of this high cloud that's been rolling into the metro region through the day today. And as we move forward with that future tracker, you can see where the clouds will continue to be a little on the dominant side through the overnight tonight. Into tomorrow, It stays dry here in the east. There's a chance of a shower along the Burin Peninsula tomorrow afternoon and up into central Newfoundland, but the best chance of showers is certainly over western Newfoundland, the northern peninsula, and then across into Labrador. Temperatures are going to be in the 21-degree range for Happy Valley Goose Bay, but just 12 in Lab City with some northerly winds punching in there and strong as well, gusting to 50. Now, moving forward, of course, the big question mark is how does the weekend look? Well, that low in Labrador will wander towards Newfoundland on Saturday. It's going to bring a very good chance of some rain to the west coast again. I think we're into some afternoon shower and thunderstorm chances popping up for central Newfoundland. There's even a risk of a rumble of thunder along western parts of the island. The atmosphere will be pretty unstable there. We are looking at a slight risk of a shower, but I think it's a late day risk of a shower for St. John's and the Avalon. It's a mainly dry day. Temperatures into the low 20s. And again, if you're in those onshore winds, temps into the high teens. And once again, 20s for eastern and southeastern Labrador, but single digits and teens in the west. Now, for Sunday, we've been watching this system coming in from the south. It does look like we will see rain for Saturday night in through the early stages of Sunday, possibly lingering into the afternoon. You can see this forecast model keeps that a little bit further offshore, but I think that there's more likely than not that we'll continue to see some rain into the afternoon, primarily for southeastern parts of Newfoundland. The Avalon, the Burin, Clarenville, Bonavista, that's the European model that I have overlaid with on top of your forecast map there. So you can see it extends showers all the way up into Gander, possibly Grand Falls, Windsor, and then shower chances back towards Cartwright and Happy Valley Goose Bay as well. The west coast and western Labrador, not looking too bad. Temperatures near 20 and some sun and cloud in the mix. Now, for your 7-day trend, pretty good. Long-range weather setup shows that that system will clear off. Monday looks good. Tuesday looks pretty quiet, and in fact, that area of high pressure should keep things quiet even into Regatta Day, which would be nice. So we'll keep you obviously posted on the long-range trend, but right now, it looks like Regatta Day may be a little on the cool side. Good for the rowers, not so good for those off, but dry at this point. And in Labrador, you can see that 7-day trend a little on the wet side this weekend, but certainly recovering in terms of both temperatures and some sunshine into next week. Okay, so as we mentioned, we're down here live at Kitty Vitty, and we want to talk to Danny McGuinness. This is one of the angles that we wanted to talk about with our chat tonight. And Danny's a tour boat operator here in Kitty Vitty for how many years now, Danny?
This is my 4th year now.
And in terms of numbers coming through, how's this year been any different than the past few?
It was a bit slow starting off, but it's starting to pick up again now. I'm after doing about 40 odd people, and you know, a lot of foreigners, Filipinos and Americans and a few Canadians, but they all enjoy it out there. They love the salt water, they love catching the fish, and they really enjoy themselves.
And how's this been this year been for whales for you? Are you lucked out?
Lots of whales, plenty of whales out there, lots of porpoises out there, sharks, whatever you want, I got it.
Nice, nice. And the weather has actually cooperated this year. You haven't had to worry about dodging too much rain.
Absolutely not. It was been absolutely perfect, and you couldn't get any better.
Nice.
All right. Thank you very much for the weather.
Yeah, I have everything to do with it, of course. And how have the cod been biting?
Excellent. Big, small, medium. We have all kinds, all shapes and sizes. Right?
But and you guys were saying really close to shore this year.
Yes, actually, they're really close to shore. You got to be careful because for whatever reason, they're really close to shore, just 30 feet off the shore, right? But it's been good. It's big fish. Customers, tourists are absolutely excited with it. They love it. They love it. Fresh air, salt water, codfish. They absolutely love it.
Well, thanks for taking us out on the boat tonight, Danny.
Welcome.
Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
And thank you.
We're going to bring Kyle in now. Kyle, come on over here. Kyle Sampson is born and raised in St. John's, correct?
Kitty Vitty, actually.
Kitty Vitty, right? Okay, you got to make sure. Absolutely, those are different. Now, Kyle, I think it's a fair assessment to say that our generation, not so big on the fishing compared to, say, our parents' generation. So, first of all, do you have any theories as to why that is?
No theory. For me, my dad grew up down here as a fisherman, so I've always been near this scene. We're lucky enough to own a boat and a stage, so every summer it's the food fishery for me and Dad, my brothers. It's just
a family connection for you.
It's a family thing. It's in our blood.
Yeah. So is it just the family thing, or what is it that you love about going out and jigging cod? Because there's less people doing that, especially our age. Is it the peace and quiet out there, or is it that you just love the taste so much that you'll do anything to get it, even battling the elements out there?
Oh, it's absolutely refreshing to go out on a little speedboat, you know, ride the waves, get some salt water in your face. For me, not many can relate, but to get a nice breeze through the beard. It's very addicting to catch one fish and then to catch another. I think that's the rush.
Yeah. So. And how has this year been treating you so far?
Well, it's good. Good weather, calm seas.
And they're biting?
And lots of fish.
That's all you can ask for.
That's all we want.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, very impressive beard, Newfound beards, by the way. We got to thank Kyle and, of course, Danny for helping us out down here this evening. It was a bit of a runaround, but we made it on the air. That's all that matters, and we got the forecast to you as well. And the forecast, as we said, looks pretty good. So if you are doing the recreational food fishery thing, winds don't look too bad this weekend, but do watch for that rain on Sunday. We'll be back here one more time before we say goodnight.
Thanks, Ryan. Certainly got the best job on the show tonight, out there enjoying the weather.
Well, turning our attention now to some national news. In the early 1960s, a New Brunswick logger found a mysterious box in the woods hanging on a tree. But then, in X-Files fashion, the Canadian military took it away and it was never heard of again. Now, after 55 years, the mystery has been solved. CBC's Shane Fowler has more.
The community of Lutz Mountain is quiet and calm, made up mostly of farms and forest as far as the eye can see. It's in this area that back in 1962, woodsman David McPherson found a mysterious white box that fell from the sky. Photos taken at the time show what he described as a 400-pound refrigerator-like box attached to a rotting parachute. Inside were cameras pointing out a pair of darkened windows. James Rogers is 74 now and the last person alive who helped haul the thing out of the forest.
He at first thought it might be a small aircraft that had crashed, but there was no sign of any aircraft parts or anything around.
David McPherson Jr. says hundreds of people came out to see the oddity, including the Canadian military, who after an attempt to steal it, bargained with the family to take it away.
They took it with promises, you'll be there when it's opened, we'll let you know what it was and who owns it. But once it's on the truck, all of a sudden that was all gone, and so was the thing. They took it away.
In the 55 years that followed, the family was left with only black and white photographs of a large white box and newspaper clippings claiming it was a weather balloon. But after CBC News ran the story this week, listeners sent in their theories linked to declassified documents from the CIA. They showed the thing in the woods was a high-altitude balloon-mounted spy camera developed in part by the CIA to secretly photograph Soviet Russia. David McPherson Jr. says his family has always had their suspicions.
There was just too much to it. These camera lenses were huge, the secrecy around it.
Their only regret is their father didn't live long enough to get answers. He passed away just over a year ago. Shane Fowler, CBC News, Lutz Mountain.
The Ohio State Fair is back open today, but all its rides are closed after a deadly accident. An 18-year-old man was killed and 7 people injured when the Fireball ride broke apart, throwing riders to the ground. Ohio's governor today talked about the accident.
That's a nightmare. It's a terrible situation. But all we can do is what is humanly possible to make sure that we provide the safety and the inspections.
Well, those inspections are underway. Meantime, in this country, the Fireball ride has been shut down in Edmonton's K-Days, and organizers of the Canadian National Exhibition in Toronto say the ride will not be part of this summer's Midway.
An Ontario corrections officer is facing discipline for whistleblowing about a mentally ill inmate in solitary confinement. Chris Jackal posted 4 tweets about conditions at the Central North Correction Centre in Tangashween, Ontario. He claimed the mentally ill inmate was covered in feces for nearly 2 weeks and was seen eating it. Jackal tweeted that it was a violation of prison policies. Then the ministry accused Jackal of violating social media and other employment policies. Jackal faces a discipline hearing, but he says the inmate is getting treatment now and that it was the right thing to do.
Well, a new study out today says the idea that you must finish your entire course of antibiotics is wrong. The researchers say telling patients to stop taking their antibiotics when they're feeling better might be the better way to go in some cases. Conventional wisdom says that completing the prescription will help prevent bacteria from becoming antibiotic resistant. But the new study says there's no evidence that that really happens. And it argues completing a course of antibiotics may actually increase the risk of resistance. Experts say much more research needs to be done to find out the ideal length of a course of antibiotics. Well, teams from around the country are boarding flights bound for Winnipeg and the Canada Games today, including Nova Scotia's basketball teams. All eyes are going to be on the guys. They are the #1 seed and have a good shot at winning gold despite playing with heavy hearts. The CBC's Elizabeth Chu has more.
This is Nova Scotia's men's basketball team for the Canada Games. But really, they're still boys, like 15-year-old Jackson Smith.
This team is good enough to come back with a Canada Games championship.
A feat Jackson's dad, Wade Smith, and the rest of the Nova Scotia squad pulled off 30 years ago, 1987. That was the last time this province won gold in basketball at the Games. For Wade Smith, things had come full circle, as he told a TED Talk in March.
Full circle, I am head coach of the U17 Canada Games team for this summer, and we're going to win a second gold medal. So that's the goal.
That may still happen, but he won't be there. A month after that talk, Smith was diagnosed with stomach cancer. 2 months later,
thank you very much.
The basketball coach, high school principal, and mentor was dead. He was only 50. A Halifax area church was packed for his funeral service.
He finished way strong.
The 12 boys he handpicked for the team were front and center.
We're a brotherhood, we're always together.
Bonding during tragedy.
After Coach passed and everything, everyone was together, like we're all here for each other.
On the back of their warm-up jerseys, #WadeStrong.
He told us, work hard no matter what happens to him, just work hard. So we're gonna do what we've been told to do and work hard and get gold.
This team is the #1 seed, having won national titles for the last 2 years. Wade Smith mentored many of these boys for years.
What's the #1 thing that he taught you guys?
He taught us how to play as a family instead of just players. He wanted us to be together on the court. He wanted us to be together off the court.
Boys coached to play together as brothers begin their quest for gold this Saturday. Elizabeth Chu, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, Prince William hung up his flight suit today after 2 years flying with the East Anglian Air Ambulance Service. He penned an emotional tribute letter praising his colleagues ahead of his last shift.
The Duke of Cambridge will now be spending more time in London, where he can take on more official duties, including royal visits and charity work. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, here's a bird's eye view of those 200-ton transformers causing controversy in Cartwright. The transformers are now on the move, bound for Muskrat Falls. The town was initially worried how infrastructure, particularly an oil pipe, would hold up under the massive weight. But Nalcor says it surveyed the route and came up with a plan. And thanks very much to Tyler Mugford for this view.
Well, here's a couple who had a little luck on their side the night the Chicago Cubs won the World Series.
We had been, trying to have a baby, and it just so happened that the night that the Cubs won the World Series that we had a little extra luck on our side. So, 9-10 months later, here he is.
Well, this pair aren't the only lucky ones. Chicago area hospitals are reporting a spike in births this month. Many parents say their children were conceived on the night of November 2nd. Since a typical pregnancy is 38 to 40 weeks, that lines up with right about now and all these baby cubbies being born. Hopefully these little ones aren't going to have to wait another 108 years for the next Cubs World Series win.
One rescue went to the dogs on Monday, literally. Canadian Coast Guard members pulled a golden retriever out of the water after it was lost off an eastern Nova Scotia shore for nearly an hour. The Coast Guard says the dog seemed a little disoriented and dehydrated by the time it was pulled on board, but happy to be safe and reunited with its owners. And because of the happy ending, one Coast Guard member even described it as one of her favorite calls. Well, that's almost it for us tonight. We're going to head back down now to Kitty Vitty Village one last time to see what Ryan is up to down there. Ryan, are you still there?
And we are, yes, here down at Kitty Vitty. What a beautiful spot on a regular day, but how about one of the best days of the summer, which it has been today. 25 degrees here in St. John's today. No humidity, just a perfect evening. And we had a pretty good show. We were in the Narrows to start, then out back here into the Kitty Vitty Gut. And now we are, of course, docked with, we are tied up here in the beautiful Kitty Vitty Gut here tonight. And it has been a dandy day. And we are talking about pretty comfortable temperatures really over the next couple days, which is the good news. We're going to be in that 22 degree range for St. John's for both Friday and Saturday, and I think the rain chances are minimal. Late day Friday, a little risk, and again for late day Saturday, but Sunday will be a wet day, so you're going to want to make sure that you do keep that in mind. If you have some outdoor plans, make sure that the next 2 days, western parts of Newfoundland, as I mentioned, are going to get into some showers as early as tomorrow afternoon, and it's a pretty wet Saturday there. And central Newfoundland kind of in between. Scattered risk tomorrow, better chance of seeing some showers and even some thunderstorms on the go as we move into the Saturday time period. Unfortunately, Labrador looking a little on the unsettled side all weekend long, where we've got that low that's coming in and basically going to sit and stall, and that means shower chances for the next 3 days. Definitely a little on the cool side as well with that northerly flow moving back into Labrador. We are talking about temperatures that are going to be in the low double digits and even some teens, even some single digits, I should say, along the north coast of Labrador, places like Nain and Hopedale. So it's definitely going to be a cool one along that north coast. Hopefully, as they have said before, summer's over after Regatta Day. Doesn't appear to be the case this time around. Looks pretty good right through Wednesday, and even some summer temperatures in the long range even after that. So that's some good news there. And of course, in case you missed any of the show tonight, we're always on our YouTube channel at CBC NL on YouTube. So make sure you stay tuned and you can check out the show there. We'll leave you here in Kitty Vitty tonight.